I am Bryce Newberger, and this is the Kinship Chronicles, Children of the Phoenix. Chapter 38. Mel and Eldrich entered the castle's high-arched foyer. "You there, guard," spoke the elder. "I seek attendance with the king once more." "I'm sorry, sire, he's retired." The guard spoke his refusal despite his naked awe of the pale-skinned hermit. "It cannot wait," Mel proclaimed as he made his way towards the royal chambers. The guard didn't dare contest the word of an elder. As they strode hastily down the hall, Eldrich asked, "Shouldn't we grab some guards?" "We don't have time to explain our purpose to them. Now hurry up. If we stumble onto anything too dangerous, just stay behind me and keep your back to a wall if at all possible." Dazon and Cal snuck around the outskirts of the castle. Dazon was clad in his usual drab attire, while Cal had adorned a similar outfit of tight-fitting black cloth equipped with his new snapfire glove and a small sword. He thought he looked awesome. Their path intersected and followed a line of dead patrolmen. Something was very wrong here. Cal didn't gawk at the dead bodies too long. They held nothing he hadn't seen before. His master didn't say a word. He just trekked stealthily onward, not even looking to see if the boy was keeping up. They halted at a large tower. Dazon placed his hand flat against the stone, then pursed his fingers into the wall and pulled out a brick so that there was enough lip for him to get a fingerhold. "I hope you were watching," he stated in a flat whisper. Cal was always watching. The two rogues began to climb the side of the tower. It was a long way up. Mel and Eldrich approached the entrance to the executive wing of the castle where two sentries stood posted. One looked polite and refined, while the other looked bulky and stern. The gruff guard stuck his hands out. "Sorry, sire, elder or not, you cannot enter here without a royal seal or decree." "Sorry, son, but I don't have time for this," Mel replied. The guard began to sneer a sarcastic remark when the side of Mel's open hand caught the guard in the neck. The soldier let out a strangled sound. Before the other guard could react, Mel had spun and kicked the man in the forehead of his helmet, knocking him out cold. The gasping guard reached for a sword, but was quickly clutched by the throat. The white flash let go the moment the man lost consciousness. "Wow, you kicked their butt." "Follow quickly, Eldrich," Mel stated as he opened the doors. There was a guard in the hallway that was in mid-patrol their way. He smiled at the elder, then went wide-eyed as he noticed the two unconscious guards behind him. They were about 50 paces apart when Mel took off into a full sprint towards the surprised man. The dutiful soldier had just gotten his sword out when the elder gave him a similar treatment to the previous victims. "Eldrich, please hurry," he called back to his student. The duo continued down the hallways, having minimal conflict. Mel froze in place as he crossed the Archmage's antechamber. Eldrich passed his master before he realized he had stopped. "What is it?" "It can't be," Mel spoke in a hushed tone of shock. For the first time, Eldrich registered fear in his mentor's tone. The elder pushed open the door of the Archmage's room. Dazon and Cal continued their perilous climb up the tower. One slip and they could fall to their deaths. The black-cloaked man was not making any sound at all as the young boy was groaning with effort. He was getting farther and farther from his master as he fell behind. Cal pressed his hand flat against a stone, pursed his fingers, pulled the block out, and hefted himself up. He repeated this process over and over, forgetting about anything other than the rhythm. His fingers were growing sweaty and slick. His arms ached in exhaustion. "Master," he called out. Dazon continued to climb. "Master, I can't." His instructor looked down at him. "Then don't," he replied as he continued his ascent. Cal refused to give up, refused to be helpless. Press, pinch, pull, climb. Press, pinch, pull, climb. Press, pinch, pull, climb. They ascended higher and higher. Cal made one mistake he realized was suddenly very fatal. He looked down. The boy's vision focused in and out on the ground far below them. His head spun with the recollection of his mortality. He looked back at the wall, but it seemed to be slowly pushing away from him. His hands grasped for stone but only swished through the air. "Master!" he yelled. Cal fell about 5 times his height before he collided with hard stone. His master landed above him. The child looked about to see his master had caused a stone to emerge as a platform below him. "That was free. Do not fall again," Dazon advised the boy. "And if you are to die, do so quietly as to not get me caught." The pair took a while longer, but made it up to the royal balcony. The rogue mage was the first to make it to the top. He swore uncontrollably. Cal emerged at the top as well, and grew very silent very quickly. Before him was a massacre of a small family. "Who were they?" he asked. Dazon shook his head with disdain. "They were the royal family." The Imperial door was suddenly thrust open to reveal Grexis entering with 2 guards. "Dazon?" he exclaimed in surprise. The expert killer didn't miss a beat. He withdrew his 2 hand crossbows and stuck bolts into the necks of the guards. The palace watchman hit the floor. "Grexis, you made this easy." "So it's true," began the Archmage. "You have found your mind again. I would have never thought you could unscramble the mess I made of your brain." "I should thank you for the gift," Dazon remarked as he stomped and the ground cracked towards Grexis, catching his foot in the floor. The tricky magician was caught off guard by the attack, then hastily regained his composure again. "And I dare entice the rumor. You can control multiple forms of magic. Well, let's just see what makes you tick." Dazon's hands went to his head and he dropped to his knees. "No!" yelled Cal as he snapped and a ball of flame shot towards Grexis. Blue-eyed Devil wrapped himself in his thick robes as the fire collided with him. "I don't think so, child," he yelled, and Cal dropped to his knees as well, though the assault lessened on Dazon as he did this. Dazon trembled as blood leaked from his eyes, nose, and ears. "I knew I kept you around for a reason." Grexis stretched his hands forward and both of the trespassers doubled over. "Who is this boy?" "He is another creature of your making," Dazon replied with much effort. "Another demon risen from the ashes of your corruption to haunt you." Grexis didn't have enough mental energy to spare on picking the brain of the boy. It was taking his full consciousness to keep both of them at bay. Now, Dazon, let me see if I can learn your little trick." "No!" Cal spoke again. Blood was now falling from his nose. "I will learn yours." Grexis clutched his head and fell to the ground, rolling in anguish and wailing in pain. Cal sneered as both he and Dazon stood. The master of the boy drew his sword and lunged for Grexis. The ethereal eyes of the Archmage dilated as he watched his death loom nearer. "Stop!" he commanded with all his frenzied effort. Again, the 2 attackers fell backwards. Dazon was just short of victory. This time, Dazon was close enough. He snapped his gloved hand at the Mind Mage. Fire exploded in an arc in front of him. Grexis shied away from the blast. Dazon erupted into a lunge with his sword again slicing viciously. It found its purchase in the shoulder of the Archmage. Grexis sent another mental shockwave out, but Dazon headbutted him. He withdrew his sword and attempted to stab him again. His hand halted in its approach to the villain's heart. "Found it!" exclaimed the Archmage in victory. Dazon walked backwards against his will. "I have full control of you now." Grexis explained how his victory was complete. Cal watched helplessly as his expert master, who had seemed so perfectly in control before, had been turned into a human puppet. Mel entered the Archmage's quarters. There was a man standing in view of the door. His skin was a pale hue, the color one turns after death. The dark pupils of his eyes swam in pools of lava. Tiny horns jutted from his hairline, creating a crown around his black hair. The same effect was given to his jawline, giving the sense that teeth were protruding from the bottom of his skull. His raiment was a glossy black, as if it were forged from volcanic obsidian. A single red diamond had been embedded into the center of the chestplate, surrounded by 4 other gems. Draconin! Mel spoke the name with righteous hatred. Thank you for listening. I'm Bryce Newberger, and this has been the Kinship Chronicles, Children of the Phoenix. If you enjoyed what you heard and you'd like to purchase the full book, then either look up New Books on the Google Play bookstore, NEU Books, or simply click the link in the description. The book is only $5, and I appreciate your support.